Have you ever felt the quiet depletion that comes with constant availability? The way your energy leaks through every instant reply, every crisis absorbed, every boundary crossed in the name of connection? What if the very act of withdrawing, not in anger, but in reverence for your inner world, could transform not just your life, but the very dynamics that have left you hollow? There exists a presence that commands without demand. You've felt it around certain people, those who don't shout for attention or plead for understanding. They simply withdraw. And in their absence, everything shifts. People question, people chase, people feel. What if this quiet power already lives within you, waiting to be recognized? When you pause before responding, choosing contemplation over reaction, retreat over explosion, something curious happens. The world that has grown accustomed to your predictability suddenly falters. Those who have unknowingly relied on your immediate response, your unfailing presence, your emotional labor, they discover they're standing on ground less solid than they believed. What truth might your absence reveal that your presence conceals? Jung understood something vital about human connection. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. When you become less accessible, not as punishment, but as practice, notice who grows uncomfortable, who attempts to provoke you simply to confirm their influence still holds. Their irritation reveals not your failure, but their dependence on an emotional availability you've offered without condition. How often have you given yourself away to keep peace? To belong to those who were never truly yours to hold? Each forced yes, each depleting interaction, they leave behind a particular emptiness that cannot be named because you've been too available to hear your own voice naming it. What whispers might you hear in the space between stimulus and response? This journey isn't about rejection or isolation. It's about reclaiming what Jung called individuation, the sacred process of becoming your whole self. It begins with a truth that feels counterintuitive. Silence holds more power than 1,000 arguments. Withdrawal, when conscious, becomes not escape, but emergence. How long have you let others' emotional weather determine your internal climate? How long have you responded to provocations as if they were summoning spells? There is a power waiting in the pause, in becoming, just for a moment, a mystery, even to those who claim to know you. Are you ready to inhabit that space between what they expect and what you need? From our earliest moments, we learn that our worth lives in our utility. Be helpful, be present, say yes, even when your body tenses, your mind clouds, your spirit recoils. This conditioning runs deep, the belief that constant accessibility is the price of connection, of belonging, of love. But what if this equation is backward? What if your perpetual availability doesn't secure your place in others' lives, but instead trains them to value you less? When something is always there, always given, always yielding, it becomes invisible, expected, taken. What parts of yourself have you made too available to be truly seen? Your energy is not infinite. It is not even abundant. It is precious, limited, sacred. Constant availability is a subtle form of self-abandonment, a quiet agreement to prioritize others' comfort over your own wholeness. Those who demand your emotional presence often don't seek you, but what you provide: validation, distraction, comfort, absolution. When you set boundaries, refuse to react, or simply withdraw to replenish, you may be met with confusion, even accusation. Not because you've betrayed them, but because you've disrupted a pattern that served them while depleting you. The more available you make yourself, the more invisibly you slip into the background of others' lives, abundant, therefore unremarkable? Who truly deserves not just your presence, but your essence? What might your absence teach those who have forgotten to see you? Jung spoke of psychic energy, the vital force that powers every thought, every feeling, every choice we make. Are you directing this energy consciously, or letting it drain through reactions, defenses, and battles that were never yours to fight? Each impulsive response, each emotional defense against criticism, each argument that changes nothing, they all draw from the same well. A well that, unlike others, doesn't refill through use, but through intentional rest. Jung warned, what you resist persists. The more you react, the more bound you become to patterns that exhaust you, leaving you vulnerable to those who sense unguarded energy. A healthy psyche guards its boundaries without apology, says no without explanation, and observes before engaging. Where do you feel the quiet leak of your power? What triggers consistently steal your center? Your availability makes you a perfect canvas for others' projections. Jung described projection as the unconscious transfer of our unseen traits onto others. That friend who calls only in crisis, the partner who relies on you to manage their emotions. They relate not to you, but to the role you play in their internal drama. You play along, perhaps, fearing disappointment or rejection. The manipulation thrives in the silence of your guilt, in the belief that you owe them your help, your presence, your energy, even at the expense of your well-being. But when you stop reacting, say no, or choose silence, their projections begin to crumble. Who seems most unsettled when you withdraw? What does their discomfort reveal about the dynamics you've accepted? To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. Lao Tzu. The world rewards noise, quick replies, constant engagement, performative debate. But few master the power of conscious silence, not passive silence, not cowardly silence, but lucid, intentional silence, a fertile ground for transformation. Silence allows you to observe patterns previously invisible, unseen manipulations, self-sabotage, the subtle ways you've surrendered your power. It strips away others' ability to control the narrative. They panic when you don't respond immediately because your silence takes away their script while giving you space to write your own. What shifts when you hold your voice, even for a moment? What truths emerge in the space between stimulus and response? True silence is mastery of energy, refusing to be pulled into others' emotional storms, choosing only battles worthy of your strength. Jung taught that individuation demands psychological distance, a space where you can hear your own truth without the world's noise. But this silence comes with cost. It creates distance from those who valued only what you provide, not who you are. They may call you cold, distant, selfish, yet their words reveal their loss, not your failing. Are you ready to pay the price of your own becoming? What would it mean to value your inner voice above external validation? Cutting external noise is only the beginning. The deeper work lies in relearning to direct your energy consciously, choosing where it flows, where it remains, where it never goes. Be selective with your soul. Awareness without action becomes self-deception. Transformation demands emotional discipline, not responding instantly, breathing before reacting, leaving chaos to resolve itself, saying no without justification. You owe explanation only to yourself. Who recoils when you set boundaries? Who tries to break them the moment they're established? These are not signs of your failure, but confirmation of your growth. Jung saw individuation as a sacred isolation, a temporary retreat to hear your voice untainted by others. Conscious unavailability isn't coldness, it's sovereignty. Saying no to the world is saying yes to yourself. What freedom might await in your refusal? Be alone. That is the secret of invention. Be alone. That is when ideas are born. Nikola Tesla. When you first stop being so available, the silence might scream within you. You may question your choices, fear losing those who never truly saw you. But silence transforms. It cleanses, calms, heals. Solitude follows, not absence of others, but presence with yourself. In this space, clarity replaces confusion, peace replaces anxiety, strength replaces neediness. You become whole. Jung taught that individuation demands periods of solitude, disidentifying from the mask you've worn, walking alone to discover who you've always been. You're not fleeing, you're returning. What do you find in this return to yourself? Those unsettled by your absence never wanted you. They wanted the role you played in their story. Now, you don't fit their narrative, and that is freedom. You may lose people but find yourself, distance from spaces but reclaim your essence, be misunderstood yet deeply respected. When you're no longer available for all, you become rare, valuable, unforgettable. This is rebirth, accepting only what honors your peace, your truth, your wholeness. You're here because you feel this call. True self-love begins when you choose yourself, even at the cost of temporary solitude. What parts of yourself are waiting to be reclaimed through the power of your unavailability? What might bloom in the garden of your absence? Thank you for exploring the surreal mind with me. Until next time, see you in the next dimension.